Welcome to my channel. Without further ado, let's jump right into it. You ever have one of those days where everything feels a little weird? Like, not in a huge way, but just enough to mess with your head? That's how it all started for me. I thought I was just having one of those weird days, the kind where you can't quite figure out what's bothering you. But now, looking back, I know it was something else, something worse. It was a Thursday. I remember because Thursdays are always kind of boring for me. Work's done, nothing good on TV, and I'm just trying to figure out how to kill time. Usually, I just watch some mindless show or scroll through my phone. But that day, nothing was hitting right. I felt restless, like something was crawling under my skin, but I couldn't put my finger on it. You know what I mean? When nothing feels quite right? Anyway, after a while, I just gave up and sat on the couch, staring out the window as the sun went down. It was getting dark outside, and the shadows in my living room started to get longer. At first, I wasn't really paying attention, just zoning out. But then, something caught my eye, my shadow. It was acting weird. You know how your shadow's supposed to follow you, right? Like no matter what you do, it just copies you, like an echo. But mine wasn't doing that. I was sitting still, but my shadow, it was moving, just a little, kind of swaying, like it was alive. I thought it was just a trick of the light at first. Maybe a car outside, headlights bouncing through the window, something like that. But when I shifted in my seat, the shadow didn't move right away. It lagged behind me, like it was delayed or something, like it had to think about it first. I shrugged it off at first. I figured I was just tired, maybe seeing things. So, I got up to grab something from the kitchen, trying to shake off the weird feeling. But as I walked, I noticed it again. My shadow dragging behind me, slower than it should have been. Not just a little slow, but like a full step behind me. Something felt wrong. I tried to ignore it, went back to the couch, but I couldn't stop sneaking glances at it. Every time I looked, it seemed like it wasn't acting right. Like the way it moved wasn't smooth anymore. It was like watching someone try to walk when they're exhausted. Sluggish and weird. The knot in my stomach kept getting tighter. I tested it out, waving my arm in the air. My shadow did the same, but it was delayed again. Not just delayed though, it moved slower, like it didn't care about copying me perfectly anymore. It was like it had its own thing going on. And that's when things started getting worse. I was sitting there, staring at my shadow, trying to figure out what was going on, when I noticed it start to blur. The edges of it weren't sharp anymore. They were stretching, like the shadow was melting or something. I rubbed my eyes, thinking maybe I was just seeing things. But when I looked again, it was still there. And it was moving again, but this time it wasn't following me. It was moving on its own. It stood up. My shadow stood up, and I wasn't standing. I was sitting on the couch, frozen, watching this thing rise up from the floor like it had a mind of its own. It wasn't following my movements anymore. It was its own thing now. I didn't know what to do. I thought about turning off the lights, but what if that made it worse? I thought about running, but where would I go? I was too scared to move. Too scared to take my eyes off it. And then it turned to face me. I couldn't see its face, obviously, it's a shadow, but I felt it looking at me. You know that feeling when someone's staring at you? It was like that, but so much worse. My own shadow, staring at me like it was trying to figure something out. And then, all of a sudden, I smiled. But it wasn't me smiling. It was like someone grabbed the edges of my mouth and yanked them into this twisted grin. I wasn't in control of it. My face just stretched into this horrible smile, like my skin was being pulled too tight. My cheeks were hurting, and I could feel it pulling, but I couldn't stop it. And that's when I knew. The shadow was smiling at me. It didn't have a face, but somehow it was making me smile, using mine. I couldn't stop. I tried to, but my face wasn't listening. It was locked into this awful grin, and the more I tried to relax, the tighter the smile felt. It was like my muscles weren't mine anymore, like my face belonged to something else. I sat there, grinning like a freak, my eyes wide with panic, while the shadow just stood there watching me. Finally, after what felt like forever, the smile faded. My face went back to normal, and I could move again. But I didn't feel better. If anything, I felt worse. Like the shadow had just messed with me for fun, seeing what it could do, and now it was waiting for the next round. That's when I snapped. I don't even remember thinking about it. I just bolted out of there. I grabbed my keys, didn't even bother turning off the lights or locking the door, and I ran to my car. My heart was racing, and my hands were shaking so bad, I almost dropped my keys trying to start the engine. As I was driving to my brother's house, I couldn't get rid of the feeling that something was following me. The road was empty. It was late after all, but I kept glancing in my rearview mirror, expecting to see something. I don't know what I was looking for. A shadow? Another me? I didn't know, but the whole drive felt tense, like I wasn't alone. Then, halfway there, it happened. I swear, as I rounded a curve, something darted across the road. At first, I thought it was an animal, maybe a deer, but it wasn't. It was too fast, and it didn't have any form I could make out. It was just a shadow. It moved like one too. No solid shape, just this dark blur that shot across the street and disappeared into the trees on the other side. I slammed on the brakes, my heart pounding, and stared at the spot where it had crossed. But there was nothing. Just empty road and trees. I didn't wait around to see if it would come back. I floored it, speeding the rest of the way to my brother's house, gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. My mind was racing, trying to make sense of what I'd seen, but I couldn't. It felt too crazy, even for me. When I finally pulled up to my brother's place, I didn't even call ahead. I just showed up, banged on the door like a madman, and when he opened it, I didn't explain. I didn't have the words. I just said I needed to crash for the night, and thankfully, he didn't ask too many questions. I spent the whole night on his couch, trying to calm down, but every time I closed my eyes, I saw that twisted smile. My smile, but not mine, and that shadow darting across the road. I couldn't get it out of my head. The next morning, I didn't want to go back. Part of me thought I should just leave it, maybe stay at my brother's place for a while, or just avoid my house altogether. But I couldn't do that forever. So, I got in my car and drove back, feeling like a complete idiot the whole time. But still, I was on edge. I pulled up to the house and just sat in the car for a while, staring at the front door, trying to psych myself up to go inside. My heart was pounding, and my hands were sweating, but I finally forced myself to get out and head in. When I opened the door, everything looked the same as I'd left it. The lights were still on, the TV was still on, and the place was exactly as I'd left it when I ran out, but there was no shadow. Nothing weird at all. Just my empty living room. I cautiously walked through the house, half expecting the shadow to jump out at me or something, but nothing. It was just a normal house again. No weird shadows, no creepy grins. It was like nothing had happened. I stayed there for a while, just sitting on the couch, waiting for something to happen, but nothing did. It was quiet, peaceful even. I don't know why, but whatever had happened the night before, it didn't happen again. Not that day, not the next day, not ever as far as I can tell. But still, I knew that night did happen, that it wasn't just in my head. That shadow, the way it moved, the way it made me smile. It felt too real to be just a dream or a hallucination, and that shadow running across the road, I'm sure I saw it. Thank you for listening to this video. I'll see you in the next one.